All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Had something on my mind today I wanted to speak to y'all. Definitely like, subscribe, comment on the channel. Y'all know I do my comic book content too, so really excited about Deadpool Wolverine. I did a video on that. That's on the channel. Check that out if you're into comic books or Marvel movies. But I want to talk today about Elliott Wilson has smoke for Charlamagne. That's what I want to talk about. And, you know, this video, I just want a table set for this video. This video is not about, you know how I get down, man. It's very hard for me to talk about the drama stuff because a lot of it feels like gossip, right? To me. You know, so I'm going to touch on this a little bit and get into as much as I can because I know both of these guys personally. You know, C is a good friend of mine. Charlamagne is a good friend of mine. Elliott is somebody who I've known for years, and we've had a relationship up and down, you know, for a couple years. So this isn't about who's right or who's wrong. You know, I don't want to end up. I don't want Elliott to clip this. I don't want to end up on Elliott's page. I mean, he's gonna do what he wants, but I'm not, anytime you mention Elliott or anybody has anything to say about Elliott, he'll clip it and post it. Like, this is not for that. This is not for attention, but I want to use this moment to talk about the changing landscape of hip hop journalism and hip hop personalities, at least through my lens, right? And through my experience and how I feel I fit into this. And I can't speak for anybody else, but we'll get into it. So Elliott has smoke for Charlamagne. It was all ignited after Complex dropped their hip hop media power rankings list. On the list, Elliott was number 5, Charlamagne was number 4, Kai Cenat was number 3, Joe Budden was number 2, Academics was number 1. I didn't make the list, which I feel no way about. I'm fine about that. I feel like, at least for me personally, in a lot of ways, what I'm doing now on this channel is a rebirth, is a reinvention of myself in media. I know who I am. I know my legacy. I've known the shit that I done, be it across MTV, be it across Genius, be it across Amazon, be it XXL, the legendary shit I've been a part of. But, as a power rankings list of right now in 2024, I ain't tripping at all. And I don't put too much stock in lists anyway. So, I've made plenty of them, particularly like ranking rappers, be it hottest MCs, XXL Freshman was a list. I've done a lot of lists, so I know these things are subjective. I don't let it get me too up or too down at all. But, Complex power ranking list. So, yeah, I didn't make the list. But I do want to shout out C. This was cool. I want to shout out Charlamagne. I want to shout out Nyla Simone and all the brilliant idiots, their podcast, because they said this about me. I'm going to run this clip. Check it out.
Shit, Rob Markman should be on the list. I love Rob Markman's commentary. If y'all had the Amazon show this year.
Yeah, but even what he's been doing on Twitter has been going crazy. You didn't see it?
What you been doing?
Oh, I forgot you're not on Twitter anymore. Rob pretty much every week does hip-hop news updates on Twitter.
Oh, no,
They're just short,
I watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, they're very good, very informative, very thorough, and it's a trusted fucking source.
A lot
of these niggas ain't really trusted sources. They just giving opinions, talking out their ass for clicks. That's why they got the audacity to put up here wise sentiments or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, I don't know. I feel like we should do something for just popular and then something for trusted.
All right, so cool. I thought that was cool. I just wanted to show it out, man. Shout to Charlamagne, shout to Nyla. It's important for me that y'all trust me. I'm big on trust. Secret society, all we ask is trust. But back to Elliott and Charlamagne. So C in that same episode said that he didn't like Elliott at number 5, and he didn't think that Elliott deserved to be top 5 based off of whatever he did last year. And that's just Charlamagne's opinion, right? Elliott then posted that clip from Brilliant Idiots on his social media, and he said, fuck you to Charlamagne, and he claimed he wanted all the smoke, and then it got really adversarial, intense. Look, Charlamagne gave his opinion. Certain that Elliott didn't like his opinion, but Charlamagne wasn't like on some thug shit. It kind of felt like Elliott's energy was like on some real, like, really like aggressive. Which was to me like a little, I was like, okay, that's a different type of energy that I don't expect. And I whatever. I don't know how much of that is his character for real. Then Elliott went on Bag Fuel. Shout out to Esso. Shout out to Heineken, and was talking about his feelings, but started really talking crazy about Charlamagne. Started teasing him for being bald. It started becoming less about the list, right? Like started teasing him for being bald. Said he was hotter than Charlamagne. Ever since Charlamagne was like getting coffee for Wendy Williams. Charlamagne started he's a protege of Wendy Williams. So like it started getting nasty. It started feeling like this is more about a list. Elliott, I want all the smoke, and he's dishing it out, really aggressive, insults that have to do with just not work. And Charlamagne has said some things too that Elliott, I think, maybe considered a shot when he was like, Charlamagne was like, I don't want to be the 53-year-old guy doing this, that, and the third. So whatever, right? So this thing starts getting nasty. It starts becoming like more so than somebody's opinion about a list. It starts to become like a sideshow, like what everybody is watching with popcorn, with what's gonna happen next? Who's gonna say what? And Charlamagne did address him on the new episode of Brilliant Idiots this week, where Charlamagne said, "Look, Charlamagne's claiming, hey, this didn't start with me. Yes, I criticized him on the list, but last year Elliott went to Axe Podcast and criticized C for only promoting people on Black Effect. He was kind of saying, I don't really fuck with Charlamagne. He only promotes people on Black Effect. Like if you ain't part of Black Effect, then he ain't really fucking with you." So there's been criticism being thrown back and forth for a while now. This isn't new. That criticism is a little weird to me though, because I feel like a lot of people have been on the Breakfast Club. Like the Breakfast Club opens their platform up to a lot of people. I've been on it a couple of times, and they didn't have to have me on it. Elliott's been on it a couple of times, so but whatever. These are all just opinions. I don't want to get all the way into this, right? And it's also I probably do. I try to be unbiased, but I'm gonna be real. C is my man. Like Charlamagne is my guy. We talk and touch base or a text exchange, some jokes or whatever once a day at least. Like Charlamagne is my guy. I love him. I see the things that he does for other people. I'm a Charlamagne fan. I came up in this game giving respect to Elliott the whole time. Me and Elliott have points in my career where we cross paths. There has been times when he was a double XL editor-in-chief that I feel like he helped my career. Like definitely, I was at Scratch Magazine. He was at Double XL, and he tried to bring me over to Double XL before he got fired from Double XL. Like literally, like the same day we were supposed to meet, he ended up getting fired. But I ended up getting hired by Double XL anyway. It just wasn't by Elliott because he wasn't there anymore. In my mind, I always said, well, Elliott put the wheels in motion. Vanessa Satin hired me. So credit to Vanessa. But Elliott, in my mind, I'm like, hey, Elliott put the wheels in motion. He put the energy out there, and Vanessa followed through. But Vanessa also didn't have to hire me. She could have said, hey, I just want to do my own thing. For whatever reason, I got hired, and I've always given Elliott that respect. Also, when I went over to MTV, Elliott wrote me a reference letter. And then, I've done things for Elliott. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I've helped him in a number of ways. That I won't name. It doesn't. You don't have to. There's not a scorecard. We're not going tit for tat. I'm just saying that to y'all to talk about the relationships that I have with each of these guys. And me and Elliott have had ups and downs. There's been times when I haven't agreed with Elliott. For years we hadn't talked just because I didn't like the moves and kind of the stance he was taking or things that I felt slighted about. And then last year publicly on Twitter, he said some things I didn't like. I got at him, like, in a way that a lot of people don't see me get. And he and I got on the phone and it was tense conversation on the phone at first. And we ended it in a real civil and respectful place, like for real, you know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of where we're at with it, so I've definitely had my issues. Right now, he and I are in a civil place. I always respect Elliott as one of the OG architects for this. Anybody who came before me who was able to lay out a path to that I could then walk down and then take my own path, and I give respect to. So those are my relationships with both of them. So look, it's gonna be hard for me to sit here and objectively tell you who I think is right and who I think is wrong, and that's not what this video is about. This video is more about, and for those of you who are interested, about hip hop journalism, or even more broadly, right? Because hip hop journalism doesn't exist in the same way that it once did. Not since I came in the game 20 years ago, right? Like I don't want to say hip hop journalism doesn't exist, but that concept is shrinking, and it's becoming something different. I don't think a lot of people in the hip hop space are practicing journalism these days. There definitely are people who are constantly and consistently. Andre G is my guy. Craig Jenkins, I think, does a great job. Jinx. There's a lot of people, myself. But there's a broader hip hop media landscape, and journalism is a small part of that. That's what I'm trying to say. The landscape has changed because it isn't about journalism anymore. The value isn't placed on journalism anymore. The value isn't placed on telling good, solid stories, fact checking, being fair, being unbiased, but telling the truth and having to say the hard things, when you have the truth to back it up. Is not valued as much anymore as this thing has become very much personality based. This thing, and it always has been, but more so than ever, personality based, opinion based, entertainment based. Again, it's always been entertainment. We bought the Source magazine in the 90s. We bought XXL in the 2000s for entertainment. It was entertaining to us. So there's always a degree of entertainment to this. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not fool ourselves. But what I'm saying is now more than ever, more so, the entertainment part of all this has become more important than the journalism part, or has taken a bigger space than the journalism part. More important is subjective. I think journalism is important. It's just becoming a smaller part. So the entertainment part is a way bigger deal now. It's about personalities. It's about audience building. A lot of things has changed. For one, look at the landscape. Let's go back a little bit. Even look at the landscape of, I've become a personality, right? And that started happening slowly over my career. It wasn't even by design. I just got a chance. I started as a journalist. Like I started as a writer in the print era. Sway, when I got to MTV, gave me a chance to be on TV, and Ramon Dukes, and they helped develop this, right? So I started adding personality to the mix. But I've always kept, the journalism at the core of what I do, or at least try to. Elliott has started as a journalist, for sure, as a writer, then the editor-in-chief, then, started becoming this personality. A guy like Charlamagne started in radio. So under Woody Williams, where personality was real important, but, radio has its own set of things. But if you look at who has the biggest voices and the biggest shows in hip hop right now, it is not the folks that come from a traditional journalism background, right? It's the personalities. It's rappers. It's athletes. It's Joe Budden, who is an ex-rapper who started as a rapper. When we first learned of Joe Budden, we learned of him as a rapper. And now, there was Love and Hip Hop, so he becomes a reality show star / personality. He was always on YouTube. He always had Joe Budden TV, so he was kind of tapped into this. But Joe, rapper, reality show star, YouTube star, like dabbling in all of this thing, and then big podcaster, big personality, big voice. Like academics comes from. Academics is different than a lot of us, and I know a lot of people don't like them. I don't know Act too much. We've spoken a couple of times. It's all been cordial. I don't do things the way academics would do it. I think our approach is way, 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 way different, right? But there's something I understand about Act. Like, look, at the time, I had a job at XXL. I had a job at MTV. I had, a Genius. I took a position. Like, I had a check coming every 2 weeks. Act didn't. I don't know if he could have. I don't even know if he wanted to, but Act wasn't getting the MTV job. He wasn't getting the XXL job. He wasn't being hired to work at Genius. Act had to build his own shit when none of these other buildings would let him in. Now, I don't know Act's full story. I don't know if he tried and got rejected and built it on his own, or if this was always his plan A. But Act doesn't come from that traditional thing. He built his audience. He built his persona himself. Gillian Wallow, Gilly, ex-rapper. All the rappers now are going to Shannon Sharp, right? Club Shay Shay, ex-athlete. Nori on Drink Champs. Nori's my guy, ex-rapper. You get my point. A lot of this media landscape, the guys and women who traditionally came from a journalism background, who once occupied a lot of these personality spaces, it's not like that anymore. And I'm not even saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying this is how it is, And so a lot of this thing is personality based. A lot of this thing is entertainment based. Like, Joe Budden as his personality is entertaining. Yeah, I listened to it all the way there and I listened to it all the way back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the way he says things and set things up. That was a 2-pack of ass. Like, the way he sets things up. His personality plays a big part of it. Act, again, I can't say I know Act personally. Like I said, we spoke a few times. But, he gets on the live stream, builds with his audience, but then there's certain highlights that happen when he is going at Meek Mill like aggressively, when he's talking shit about Baby, like aggressively, when he's talking shit about Meg, like aggressively, when he's talking when he's giving his input on the Drake and Kendrick beef. And these are entertaining. It's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how Act is in his regular life, but like him versus Meek just seemed like very like over the top. Him versus Lil Baby seemed very over the top. And I wonder if he's like that in real life. I don't know. What I'm saying is when this camera comes on, there's a certain performance that if you want to win, like you got to play up to the camera. Like like the biggest personalities right now are winning. And for me, it was tough because I never strive when I was interviewing an artist, right? Be it for print, be it even a one-on-one interview, I never really strive to be part of the story. I would inject very little on myself into the interview. It's me giving the interview. It's my thoughts. It's what I want to know. But, I'm not telling you a whole bunch about myself in that interview. It comes out sometimes and I use it when necessary, right? Again, the Kendrick Lamar interview that I did in 2015, that's me asking Kendrick about Kendrick. Like, a little bit comes out because Dot knows me. Like, there were certain things, like even him knowing that I rap, when he's like, yeah, it's about putting bars together and da-da. He was like, about that. Like, there was like little subtle things that shows there's a personal connection. But the interview was never about me, and I never strive to make any of my interviews about me. And it was always I was helping to tell the story. I never like really wanted to become part of the story when I'm doing the interview, right? But, that's changed. Look, part of it is, for one, the biggest artists stopped doing interviews. If you're waiting around to get the interview, the camera will never turn on. You got to wait for artists. Like, the rise of social media changed things. Artists feel like they don't need interviews. I agree with Elliott. Elliott makes the points that artists should be doing interviews, that these interviews help contextualize what they mean, and sitting down with somebody who really knows could help contextualize a piece of art in a way that an artist just doesn't do on their own. I fully believe that. I've been a part of that. I've seen that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's about being asked the right questions. Sometimes being engaged in the right conversation that makes a story come out that you just can't put out when you put your phone in front of your face and go on IG Live, right? I believe that. But artists stopped doing as many interviews. They stopped giving journalists and just people access. So if you're waiting around for the artist to give the interview, then you have no content. So now folks are, Joe Budden says all the time, like, yo, I don't want to do interviews. Like, because then it dictates when you can go live or not. Like, or I can just turn my camera on every day. Act can stream all day. So, artists stopping to do interviews, the rise of social media, artists feeling like they don't need to do interviews starts changing the landscape. So if your bread and butter, if your passion, if your love, if the way you make money is talking to an audience, then what do? Well, I got to turn on the camera and I got to be the star now. I got to be the personality. And the audience has responded. Like, there's no doubt about it that Joe Budden has built an audience that will turn on his podcast just to hear what he has to say. Doesn't need a guest. Act doesn't need a guest. They'll just turn on to hear what he has to say. Casanat doesn't need a guest. They'll just turn on to hear what he has to say. It's changed. So we get to this era where Act is a star, where Joe is a star, where Casanat are stars, like the rapper, So I get it. Like, and so I guess what I'm saying is seeing a lot of this come from Elliott, who comes from a traditional journalist background. I could relate a bit, even though Elliott has had his YN persona in the XXL magazine. If you read XXL, YN was always feisty. But this, I'll just say, like, there's a large portion of this that feels performative. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but it feels like wrestling to me, right? Like, it feels like these are the things that I have to say. This is the role that I got to be the villain. I got to be the bad guy. I got to say the mean things to artists to get people to listen to me, to build my audience, to make sure I'm at the headline, to make sure I'm at the top of the feed, to make sure people are talking about me, whether it's good or bad. And that feels like the objective a lot of times. These personalities remind me of wrestling, you know what I'm saying? And I can't say, Elliott has to say for himself if this is really him. Ack has to say for himself, like, yo, is this really how you live your life every day? Joe Budden, has to, only these guys can answer that for themselves, right? And if it's performative for them, then that's their business. Like, that's how you choose to run their business. For me, it's hard for me to not, anybody who's met me, right? And shout out, I was at Nyla Simone through a concert with Rhapsody in Brooklyn last Friday, and I was out there, and I was at the Blast album release party. I was out a lot last week. That's why y'all ain't get a lot of videos from me. And people were coming up to me in real life saying, yo, I enjoyed watching your podcast. Shout out to Ryu, who comments. We met, I met a couple people who watched these videos. And one of the things that I pride myself in, or at least I hope, is that anybody who says that they've ever met me, I'm the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to think I'm the same when this camera comes on and when you meet me in real life. Like, it's not an act. And maybe that hinders me a bit. This is me finding my own space. Me turning this camera on and starting this YouTube page. You know what this is? This is a pivot. Like, you don't complain. This is not a complaint that the game has changed or the landscape has changed and become more personality based. This is a pivot. You don't complain, you adjust. My man Travis Cochran says that, man. Teal shorts. If you remember the pop out video we did, my man Travis with the teal shorts that y'all all hated, it has this saying, you don't complain, you adjust. So this is the adjustment. This is my adjustment. I think what we're seeing with Elliott, this whole Elliott versus Charlamagne thing, is just seeing Elliott's adjustment to what the landscape is, to, if I want to be that top guy, this is how I feel I have to present myself in order to compete to be that. So everybody has to make that decision for themselves. But, like I said, the hip hop space has become more about entertainment more than ever, right? It's about being out there. It's about rising above the fray. And a lot of times that's about saying the wildest shit. Yo, I can't believe you said that. Yo, did you hear what such and such said? Yo, wow, da-da-da. So that's kind of where we're at now. And we have to credit Wendy Williams for this. For me, I think coming up, I was never a fan of that style of media. It's never what I aspired to be. But in order to be successful these days, it does seem that you have to drum up some type of controversy. You have to be involved in some type of controversy. Beef is good. Having smoked somebody is good. Having the Twitter back and forth is good. It gets the people going. You have to be part of the story. So I know who I am. I'm not gonna change. I plan to elevate. I plan to work hard. I plan to build y'all trust. That's why I played that clip at the beginning. It's about trust. I'm going to do all of this, and this is going to be successful. This is going to be great. I love what we're building. But I'm interested in what y'all think, because the audience loves that other shit. They love the personality base. They love the wrestling. They love the beef. They love the back and forth. I watch it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, oh shit, Elliott tweeted this about C. Oh, that, like, we're tuned in. We're watching this shit. If we say we're not watching it, if we say it's not entertaining, if we say it's not interesting to us, we're lying. But I want to hear from the audience. Again, truthfully, y'all in the comments, what do y'all want when y'all come to these channels? When you look, who are your favorite personalities? That's a good question. Who are your favorite personalities? And what do you look for from them? You know what I'm saying? And what are the things that you enjoy? Or do you compartmentalize? You can enjoy both. You can enjoy a little bit of ratchet shit, and then sometimes you want to be informed. I just want to know from y'all and have this discussion of, in 2024, going into 2025, what do y'all look for in the hip hop media landscape? What are the things that get y'all excited? All right. Hit me up in the comments. I know what it is. Like, subscribe, do all of that. And you know I'm right there with you. All right. Peace.